Hello classmates, this is Tina Gote providing case brief 4. The citation, the case brief is on Goss vs. Lopez, a Supreme Court case of 1975. It is about the Supreme Court case discussed was 9 students were suspended from a public school for various offenses without a formal hearing, nor were they provided the opportunity to contest their suspension, which resulted in missed class times. The students argued that they should have been given a notice and a hearing prior to being suspended. The legal question is, does the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment require students to be given notice and an opportunity to be heard before being suspended from a public school? The relief that they sought was an injunction relief, requiring schools to provide procedural due process protections before suspending students. The balancing tests that were applied, the court focused on whether the public school students, as a recipient of government services, whether or not they were entitled to the due process protections. So the things they took in consideration were the test weighs. They were weighing the private interests affected by the government actions, meaning the student's education versus a suspension, the risk of erroneous deprivation of educational opportunities, the risk of unfair suspension. Liberty and property both require due process protections under the 14th Amendment, so they were taking a look at that as well, and the minimal procedural safeguards. The court findings were the Supreme Court ruled that 5-4, the students' rights were violated. Students have a property interest in their education under the 14th Amendment. Minimal due process protections are required when a student faces suspension. The reasoning is students do not have the same full procedural protections as in criminal defendants, but they still have an interest in their education. This is a form of property protected by the 14th Amendment. Therefore, schools cannot deprive them of their right to education without due process. The court ruled that due process requirements include notice of charges and an opportunity for the students to be heard prior to a suspension. This established that public schools are entitled to the due process protections when facing suspension. This includes the notice of charges and the opportunity to respond prior to the imposing disciplines of suspension. The significance of this case is that public schools cannot arbitrarily remove students from school without proper procedures. School districts must implement notice and hearing procedures to comply with these due process requirements. Thank you so much. Have a good day.